Hello everyone. Today, I know it's been a while since I've done a regular video, so I'm back on it. So hello, and I'm back on it. I'm canning Yukon Gold potatoes. So what I did is I peeled them. You always want to peel your potatoes if you're going to can them. And then I cubed them up in about 1-inch pieces. This is your citric acid, and this is your fresh fruit produce protector. I just use lemon juice, and I have if you don't have these, and I have perfect results with lemon juice. But I will show you in just a moment why you really don't want to use russet potatoes. I learned the hard way. I did it just because I had a bunch. They didn't turn out too well. There's too much starch. So now I have another bag that I need to wash, peel, blanch, and slice up and dehydrate. So that's what I do with my russets. You can also flash freeze them. So this was my last 4. So if you're a seasoned canner, you already know how to do this, exactly what to do. But if you're a new canner, you've never canned before, and you get a canner and you want to put up some potatoes, all you do is rinse people call it wash, but it's actually rinsing and soaking the potato with the skin on, peel, put them in that acid water with lemon juice or with, like I said, absorbic acid. I believe this is about 10 or 11 pounds of potatoes. Okay. Okay. These are russets. It says white, but they're russet. These are red potatoes. Look at the difference. Yeah, there's some starch in the bottom, but look at the difference. This looks awful. Look at the difference. This is a gloppy mess with all this starch. No. So that's why I want to do this. The Yukon Gold or the red. Is from my pressure canner, which is, this is the canner I use. I don't have a regular All-American or Presto yet. This is the electric digital canner. So everything I cross-referenced from the USDA and the ball book to this book. Oh, here we go. So in this book, it's on page 25. So this is what I have to go by for the canner, not just for the product. So this is wash and peel, rinse, 1 to 2 inch diameter. Place an absorbic acid. 1 teaspoon absorbic acid per gallon of water to prevent darkening. Drain. So I need to drain those potatoes because they actually have lemon juice on them. Cover potatoes in hot water and bring to a boil. Boil potatoes for 10 minutes. Cubes for 2 minutes. So I'm going to be doing these for 2 minutes, which is called blanching. Place the hot potatoes in hot jars, leaving 1 inch headspace. Then, which I'll show you all that, you can add salt if you desire. I really don't ever add salt. I do what you call ingredient canning. So I can everything separately instead of seasoning my food or adding foods together. I do that when I go to cook it. So then you process pints for 35 minutes, quarts for 40 minutes. I am using filtered water from our Pure filter. I'm going to strain the potatoes in here. Well, this is going to be tricky. Pick this bowl up. Another reason why I couldn't can is because we are on a cistern tank for our water, and we were out of water for almost 3 months coming out of the faucet. We had bottled water that we were living off of, out of jugs, and a solar shower in the bathroom, in the shower. So that's another reason why, because it takes a lot of water to can. Okay, my water is finally boiling. And I don't have a big enough strainer just to lower them down in this big pot. Oops. lost one. So once this comes back up to a boil, then I will start my timer for 2 minutes. I have, if you're interested in this type of stuff, like canning, I also do jewelry and crafting tutorials as well. But if you're interested in canning, dehydrating, prepping, then keep watching, because I have many canning, dehydrating, and prepping videos coming up very soon. Also spice mixes, baking mixes, pantry stock. I've still been doing everything, just I haven't been making videos. Okay, here we go. It's finally boiling. Okay. Now they go in an ice bath, which stops the cooking process. You don't want to overcook these. See, this is why I need something to drop in and lift back up. It's big enough. I'll have to find something. Like a big spider or a big strainer. Like a mesh strainer. And I'll set the spoon on there to keep that from boiling over. They're cooled off already. Then, set this back over here. Start again. I believe this is about 10 pounds. So I'm not sure exactly how many jars I'm going to get. Okay, the second batch is finally boiling. It takes a while. Okay, Okay, I'm back. I ended up with 12 pints of the potatoes. I have them ready. I have the lids on and the rings on, finger tight, as I showed. I filled the water to the bottom line where it shows. And see here it says pressure can. So you can toggle between water bath can or pressure can here. So I want to push pressure can. And then right here for white potatoes, pints, 35 minutes. So do that and push the play button. It says insert jars. Okay, here we go. And close this. Close this. Remove the regulator. And hit play. And then it's going to warm up the water, warm up the jars all together. And then I'll bring you back to show you the next step. Okay. So it's beeping, says put regulator on. So I want to hit the forward button and move her over here carefully. It says, I don't know if you can see that, but it says can right there. And then that little button right there will pop up as soon as it builds up pressure. Oh, there it went. Just popped up. See it right there? So now it's built up pressure and now the canning process has started. So in 35 minutes it will beep again and tell me that it's finished. I think it beeps 2 or 3 times, but then it starts the cool down process also. And it will say cooling on here. And then once that cool down process is finished, then it will say, I think it says finished or done. I think it says done on there. And then I'll press the X and then you unplug it. But I'll bring you back for that when I take the jars out. Okay, my first 6 pints are, or no, 8 pints are out. If I had thought about it, I would have done 6 and 6. So they're already sealed and bubbling away. And they look beautiful. Hope they stay that way. They should. And so what I did, because these 4 jars were cold, I had to think quick. So what I did, because I just used the canner, just opened it and took those hot jars out, so there was hot water in the canner, I emptied that hot water into this pot that I blanched the potatoes in, right? So then I put cold water back in the canner, so then I could put the 4 cold jars with cold food in the canner. So don't ever put hot with cold or cold with hot. Always do hot food, hot jars, hot canner, or cold food, cold jars, cold canner. Otherwise you could take a risk on cracking or busting your jars. So these are ready to go. And before anybody asks, the minimum amount of jars on my canner for pints is 4. So this is safe. Then So then I'm just going to do the same thing. Remove the regulator always until it tells you to put it on, and then make sure that's straight. I already did my 35 minutes. Push start, insert jars. Now it's warming. Second batch in the canner. So I'm thinking Yukon Gold is the way to go. This is the red, this is the gold. Of course, these have sat since last June. And I dumped out the russets. I tasted that. It was awful. Don't do russets. Take my advice. Don't do russet potatoes. If you're going to do anything, if you're going to do anything with the russets, I would probably flash freeze them, slice them up, or cube them, flash freeze them, and just freeze them in the freezer. Unless you can freeze dry them, possibly dehydrate them, but if you do, make sure that you blanch them. So otherwise I wouldn't can anything but probably just the gold. So just some tips. I mean, you can see it for yourself. Okay, so I'm adding this part in to finish out this canning process because I don't see very many people do this where it's completely through. So when your jars are canned, you're not finished. So your ring will be loose. Go ahead and take it off. Throw it in the water. If they're sealed. If they're not sealed, they need to be consumed right away, or they need to be put in the refrigerator and eaten within 3 days. And I have soapy hot water in this bowl. You don't need a whole sink full. I have soapy hot water and a washcloth. Do that. And then you want to take your washcloth, make sure you can see, and you want to get inside this rim with your washcloth really good. And you want to go all the way around, especially if you have a sticky mess from jam, jelly, simple syrup, anything like that. And that's all you do. And then you rinse it. Set it upright to where it drains. You don't want you don't want the inside of this getting rusted. If you take care of these rings, they will last a long time. So I'm going to finish up the rest of these and then I'll show you the jars. Okay, so the rings are finished. They're over here. And you don't ever leave your rings on your jars because it can create a false seal and hold the lid down. So you always store them like this, just because this is not coming off. And you don't ever stack jars on top of each other either, because this jar is going to hold this lid down. And then if this were to come unsealed, you're not going to know because this jar is holding that lid down. So then you don't submerge the jar in the water. You take your washcloth with soapy hot water on it and you wipe the top, wipe your lid, wipe around, make sure you get all these crevices and up underneath the lip of this lid especially. You don't want bacteria and mold growing up underneath this. And don't ever run your finger across that with no washcloth because you will cut yourself. And then you wash the whole jar, even the bottom. And don't be scared to give it a good bath. Then take it and rinse it. You get all that soap out. And that's it. See how pretty that is? Then you dry it or let it dry, and then you label the top with what it is and the date. You need to treat these jars very well. This is, I don't know what you would call it. This is like gold. I mean, you need to anticipate this jar sitting on the shelf up to 18 months. So it needs to be in perfect condition and stored properly in a cool, dry, dark place as well. Do not store jars with food or water in your shed or your garage that doesn't have air conditioning and heating. You don't want drastic extreme temperature fluctuations. You want to store these either in a root cellar, an underground shelter, or in your house, away from heat and light. Okay, finished. Look how beautiful that is. So this is prime real estate. You worked hard for this food, whether you purchased it or grew your own. And you need to take care of it and finish. Don't leave the food, or don't leave the jar just half finished. Always finish the job. So once you can it, make sure your jars are clean to start with. Can it. Make sure there's no blemishes on your food when you can it. And you let it sit and make sure they all sealed. Wash your jars, wash your lids, dry them very well, which I just dried them all. Then I'm just going to write gold potatoes. And then I'm just going to write 2/20/24 on the top. That's kind of messy, but then I put it in the box that it came in originally. Then I take that and put it up. So I hope that helps someone. I will catch you on the next video coming up very soon. Be sure to hit the thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe and leave me a comment below. And I will catch y'all later. Be blessed. Have a good one.